Hi, can you tell me your name, please, and where you're from?
Yes, my name is Steve Koziel, and I live in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
What is your affiliation with the EAA chapter here?
I am the current EAA president.
What does this chapter do?
Well, for example, one of the things you've seen today, we throw the RV Fly In. This was actually a creation of Jack's about 6 years ago, and now we're into our sixth RV Fly In, and it keeps growing and growing, and we just have a wonderful time.
How long have you had this plane? Can you tell me about the build?
Yeah, the build was 8.5 years, which was twice as long as I ever thought it would take.
So it's a slow build.
It was a combination slow build. It was a slow build wings, and then when I realized that the fuselage was going to probably take a lot longer, I decided how much does that quick build fuselage cost, and I invested in that. But after 8.5 years, I got the airplane completed, did my first test flight with it out in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and it's been flying now for 9 years and just a hair under 800 hours.
Do you take people flying with you?
I do, of course. Most of the time, Cindy goes flying with me, and as you know, it's only a two-seater, so many times I'll just go up and fly locally to enjoy the wonderful Maryland countryside, and then other times I have an opportunity to take a passenger and share that with them.
Now, there are a lot of home builds out there. What is it about RV that you love and keeps you in this plane?
Well, I guess the big thing about RVs is they're sharp-looking airplanes. If you look on the website, you'll find out that the performance range of an RV, whether it's a 160 horsepower engine like this or a 200 horsepower like the RV7 next to me, it's great performance on the top end and lands really slow when you want it to. They're just sporty airplanes. They're kind of. And
what do you hope by bringing all the RV owners together? Is it fellowship? Do you trade stories, or what exactly is this?
All of the above. So when you think about, if you have somebody who's building an RV, like we get a lot of people who are in the building stage, they're always going to look at other airplanes that have been completed before them to get ideas on what that part should look like, maybe possibly what the panel would look like for avionics, the paint scheme. So there's so many different little tidbits that people get from witnessing other individuals' builds that throwing a fly-in like this is just terrific, because you're going to get the airplanes that have been completed, and then you get a fair amount of people who are in the process of the build.
Welcome to Carroll County. Can you tell me your name, please, and where you're from?
Sure. Name's Rob. I'm from Wilmington, Delaware.
Awesome. Can you tell me about your plane that you just flew in?
You bet. Van's RV7A. Finished building it and had first flight in 2007, January. It took us 22 months or so to do it. My partner and I did it in his one-car garage and had a splendid time doing it.
How many hours is that over 22 months?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Don't worry, we're coming over to you guys soon. Don't you? Now, what is your home airport?
It is India Lima Gulf, Wilmington, Delaware.
What is the range of this plane?
Oh, we usually go about 400 miles. That's not the plane, that's us. So that's plenty of fuel and gives us a bathroom break.
What made you want to build an RV, or build a plane for that matter?
I'd never had any idea about doing it, and had an email message from my partner. We used to both work at the same company. He said, "Hey, I have a flying question for you." I wandered over and he said, "How'd you like to build an airplane?" Well, thought he was smoking something, of course, but he was a partner in a 6A, and his partner was taking his plane when he was retiring. So he said, "Let's build an RV7."
Now, do you have, is your background engineer or anything like that?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Both of us are engineers.
Okay, so you had some idea of what you're doing?
I wouldn't say that, because mechanics are a whole lot different. I did work with mechanics at the plant and had great resources to be able to ask questions to, so that was quite helpful.
Okay, now, so what is it that you love about your plane?
It's great visibility, fun to fly, just a regular hoot. Gets us where we want to go, And the really cool thing too is if I need to do something small on it, I can. We just fix it ourselves. If it's something major, well, I'm not that crazy. That'll go to the real pros.
So you fly in formation?
Today we flew in with 87 Echo Mike over from Wilmington, the 65 miles. And usually I don't, but that was a good flight.
Good, well, it's a perfect day for it.
Yeah.
Tell me your name, please, and where you're from.
I'm Jim Thill, and I'm from Leesburg, Virginia. This is a 2001 Vans RV-8. I did not build it. I purchased it about 3 years ago. I did a substantial avionics upgrade in it and a few other things.
What are the avionics that you have in it now?
I've got a full Advanced Flight Systems 5600 touch glass cockpit in there.
Okay.
Autopilot, ADS-B in and out, everything. In this airplane, I always make fun. My wife won't fly with me, so she'll go to the airport at Dulles, and then she'll fly to Minneapolis, and then rent a car and go down to southern Minnesota. I can leave home and be home in southern Minnesota before she can.
How fast does this airplane go?
This will cruise at about 195 miles an hour.
Wow.
It's a Lycoming 0360 at 180 horsepower.
But why this and why not a Cirrus, a Mooney, a Cessna, a Beechcraft?
Well, first of all, there are 10,000 flying RVs now, so when you buy a Vans RV, you're automatically a part of a huge flying community, and there's enormous support for just about anything. If you have a problem at an outlying airport, an alternator failure or something, you go on the internet and you say, I am at such and such an airport, and I've got I need an alternator, and one will show up. I guarantee you, it's tremendous. And plus, the expenses of maintaining an experimental aircraft are incredibly less than a normally certified airplane.
If you say to somebody who doesn't know anything about airplanes or like experimental build it yourself, that seems really scary. I mean, it seems like somebody like building a paper mache. Is it safe?
It does not have anything to do with the safety of the airplane. Each one of them is an individual work of art built by somebody. Some are better than others. All have to comply with a minimum standard of airworthiness, and they are inspected by the FAA. They just don't go through the same process as a normally certified airplane.
Tell me about the chicken.
Each year, Easton Airport in Maryland has Easton Airport Days, and there's a formation demonstration put on by the Red Star Pilots Association, which are yaks and airplanes of that nature. Well, they have a chicken bombing contest along with the mass formation, but they can roll the canopy back in flight, and then the back seater will just toss the chicken out. Well, the RVs started going to that particular event, and we wanted in on the fun, but we can't open our canopy in flight. So we built these little chicken dispensers that we put on our wing, and we load them with one each rubber chicken, and it's a electrically activated servo in there, and as we fly by the target, we activate the servo and the airflow pushes the chicken out the back.
That's amazing. So you're trying to hit something, or you're trying to
We
get
have a target,
Okay.
and the closest to the target gets bragging rights for the night at the party.
They're fascinating. I'm having fun. Thank you. Your name, please, and where you're from.
Sure, Jack Savage. I used to be from here, but they made me leave, and now I'm from Maine. Came down for this little event. I was one of the original founders 12 years ago, or 14, or whatever it was. And about 6 years ago, I was president of the chapter, and I came up with this idea of having a mid-Atlantic gathering of RVs, because I have one.
Okay.
Kind of a selfish thing, okay? And so we did it, and we got 40 or 50 airplanes every year for 5 years. And this year we did a little bit different thing, and the idea for a beer swap came up. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. And of course, up in Maine, it's a big deal. There's like 118 microbreweries in Maine now. It's a tourist thing. So I thought, okay, everybody brings a 6-pack of something from their area and swap it and take something different home, and it'd be fun. So.
How long have you been flying?
Since the last century sometime, I think probably close to 40 years, I guess.
think what makes RVs so fun, and why do you fly one?
Well, it's a heck of a lot of airplane for what they cost to put together. They are so much fun to fly. If you ever had a dream about being a fighter pilot, an RV, in fact, I've been told by fighter pilots that the RV flies as well. As a matter of fact, in 2010, we had the Collins Foundation. They come up here every year with the B-24, the B-17, and the P-51.
I see the signs.
Well, one year in 2010, there was a gentleman here, had a tent set up selling a book that he wrote. And he had been a German fighter pilot in World War II. His name was Gottfried Delius. And so I got to know him, took him to lunch, and we talked about flying Me-109s in the war and all that. And he was a prisoner of the Russians at the end of the war, and his book was about the 3 years in the Gulag. Interesting guy. So I took him up in the RV, and I let him fly it a bit. And I said, Gottfried, how do you like the RV? It flies as feet as my Me-109. So I got him to autograph my airplane. So I still have that autograph on there. That's pretty.
We are at the beer table. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Mike Bullock. I am based out of here, Delta Mike Whiskey, Westminster, Maryland.
Okay, and what is your affiliation with the EAA chapter?
I built an RV7, it's right over there, and I help out a lot of people in the area building their RVs and finishing them off and just giving general good advice to most people in the RV community.
Now, obviously you can't drink and fly, but can you explain to us the beer table here?
So we're kind of combining the best of drinking and flying here without the actual drinking part, which is people come from all over the place for the Mid-Atlantic gathering of RVs, and there's beers all over the place, so bring a beer from where you're from, and then take a beer from somewhere else, so kind of adding a little bit more fun, another reason to come to this great event. We have some aviation themed beers, that's always nice, I think we have a Russian beer. Vlad, where are you at?
Vlad!
And what else? I mean, just a great variety of pretty much every type of, some Baltimore beers from the locals, I think we have a lot of stuff from New York, have some sours. Oh, look at that, Goes O's, that's a good one. So I came up with this at Oshkosh 3 years ago that I said, hey, why don't we do a little beer tasting Sunday night before Oshkosh started? Nothing else really happened that night. It was kind of boring. So I proposed the idea. And a couple people said, yeah, good idea. And I got 50 people that showed up for it. A little overwhelming. And then the next year, I think we had between 200 and 300 people. So I'm a little scared what's going to happen this year.
Hi, can you tell me your name and where you're from, sir?
Steve McCauley from Southeast Pennsylvania, Coatesville Airport. RV6A, it was a slow build kit. It took me 10 plus years to build. It was a labor of love for sure. And it kind of outperforms any expectation I had that Van has designed into it. So I'm very pleased.
Is it slow built? Does that mean you're slow, or is that the kind of kit you buy?
It's a combination of both of those. It's the type of kit at the time they didn't have the pre-punched skins, so a lot of the work I had to do myself, the layout, building jigs and things like that, which was fun.
And how many hours have you flown in this?
I think I'm about 250 at this point, somewhere around 250 plus hours.
Okay, so you fly out of Coatesville. What do you do normally most when you're flying? Do you go to fly-ins or?
Strictly pleasure flying and visiting family and relatives and things like that along the East Coast.
What makes this special?
Oh, it outperforms anything I've ever flown. I mean, I was trained in a 150. Of course, they're slow and docile, which makes sense. And in Piper Archers I've flown, which are kind of like flying a school bus, but this thing is very responsive.
Tell me your name, please, and where you're from.
My name is Dale Shaffer, and I fly out of Doylestown Airport, Pennsylvania.
Very familiar.
Yes, I built it myself. It first flew, it's an RV-7 first and foremost, and it first flew in November of 2006. It has been to the West Coast, it's been to Washington, California. We made a big loop. We went to the Northeast. We wanted to go into McMinnville and see the Evergreen Museum where the spruce goose is and all that type of thing. And then we hopped over the Willamette River to Aurora, Oregon, which is where the Vans plant is, and had a VIP tour of that. And then on down to the Bay Area where my brother lived. We spent 4 nights there. Then the next bucket list thing was leaving the Bay Area, slowly climbing up to 15,000 feet. We circled Mount Whitney, the highest point in the continental United States. Backed off on the power, down over some ridges, Furnace Creek, landed Death Valley, the lowest point in the continental United States. That was a bucket list item.
That's amazing.
From the highest point to the lowest point in the country on one trip. And then on down past Las Vegas to Kingman, Arizona, fueled up and started heading. Of course, another bucket list item was the Meteor Crater between Flagstaff and Winslow, Arizona.
Yep.
Got pictures of that. We hit the Devil's Tower on the way out, incidentally, up in the northeast corner of Wyoming.
How long was your trip?
7 days.
7 days. Wow, you did a lot in 7 days.
Yeah, we sure did, didn't we?
Say,
Considering we did 4 days in the Bay Area at my brother's place.
Wow. Wow. So now how... Can you tell me your name and where you're from, sir?
It's Chris McCauley. I'm from West Virginia, a little private grass strip called West Virginia 22, Green Landings.
Okay, tell me about your plane. What kind of plane is this and how long have you had it?
It's 1998 RV4, Lycoming 0320, 160 horse, Whirlwind, ground adjustable propeller, basic VFR.
Did you build it?
No, I'm more instant gratification. So I bought it, I guess going on 4 years now.
Oh, that's awesome. And how fast does it go?
Cruise generally 145 knots in that ballpark.
Will your wife fly in it?
Yes, on occasion.
Okay. Yeah. I was just getting the skinny that I didn't realize that what one guy told me, usually if you see the seats like this, that the wives don't fly. They usually come inside my
Well,
side.
I took the back stick out and the rear rudder pedals out just for the fact that when I do have a passenger,
so you fly from the front?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, most passengers are that I take are non-pilots, so I figured get that stuff out of the way and I don't have any problems.
Yep. Have you owned other airplanes before an RV?
Light sport aircraft. I've had a Titan Tornado, a Rans S6, and a Sky Ranger.
And the color scheme. Is this your color scheme? Did you pick this out?
Nope, that was the way it was when I got it. And I wasn't crazy about the yellow, but it grew on me.
It's nice. Now, what do you do with this airplane? Where do you like to go? What's your favorite thing to do?
I generally just fly for pleasure. Go to fly-ins. I guess the first week I had it, I flew it to Montgomery, Alabama to visit a friend who had moved down there. That was quite a milestone, not knowing the airplane, and but it was solid. I've been Triple Tree past 3 years in a row with it. Been here, I think, the past 4 or 5.
We have cookies this year, Toll House cookies.
I already had one.
Awesome. About this? We got a hot mic here? Oh, maybe. That's awesome. That's awesome. You want it all the way up? I don't need an intro, right?
He's imperfect.
Awesome. Can you tell me about your... That's awesome. How often do you fly? That's awesome. Now, what is... Awesome. And now...
Yeah, what?
I don't know if he's not in the chapter anymore. They're like, we really want pictures, so they're taking pictures of all the planes coming in, and we're talking to people.
Yeah, I've been here past couple.
Yep. So we're just trying to... Whoop. Oh, I'm just talking. Okay. Can you tell me your name? It's nice. A little loud. Now, awesome. Listen, thank you so much.